Hey, how's it guys? Welcome back to my channel. The sky is never the same sky twice. Not really. People like to speak of the night sky as though it is a fixed place above the earth, some permanent painted dome where the stars wait in identical positions every evening. But that is not what an observer actually experiences. The real sky is alive with interference, motion, distortion, season, geography, temperature, and the untouchable time. It breathes through the atmosphere before it even reaches your eyes. The air itself is unstable. Wind shifts layers of atmosphere. Warm air rises, cold air sinks. Pressure changes bend the light differently from one night to the next. Refraction near the horizon stretches and twists celestial objects into shapes they were never meant to have. A planet low in the sky can flash red, blue, and even gold in seconds, not because the planet changed, but because Earth's atmosphere is always restless. Clouds are obvious interruptions, and they are just the loudest ones. The subtle disturbances, thin haze, dust, smoke from distant fires, matter more because moisture you cannot even see affects everything around you. Then enter mountain ranges, forcing air upward and creating turbulence that ripples through starlight like heat above a road. A calm looking night can still contain a sky in constant optical motion. And yet, despite all this instability, the observations remain consistent. This is probably the most beautiful part. The moon still follows its path. The planets still wander through the zodiac. Orion still arrives in season. Crux still turns around the southern celestial pole. The International Space Station still crosses overhead exactly when prediction says it will. A bright, moving proof that the geometry works. The atmosphere may distort the presentation, but it does not erase the structure underneath. That is the distinction. The visuals are unstable. The observations are not. An amateur observer might take long to learn this because at first you think observing means seeing perfectly. Eventually, you realize observing means learning what survives the imperfections. The sky teaches you to separate appearance from pattern. A star may flicker violently near the horizon one night and shine steadily a few nights later, but its rising time still returns. Venus may burn through haze in one season and vanish into turbulent sunset glare in another, but its cycle continues with stubborn precision. Patience reveals consistency hiding inside what appears to be chaos. And in the Southern Hemisphere, this understanding carries a different weight. Northern observers inherit Polaris almost accidentally. And I just went to timeanddate.com And I used Anchorage in Alaska as the example. I know there are closer areas that you can see Polaris from where it almost looks like it doesn't move. Just as a reference that I don't get to see Polaris. A bright marker near the celestial pole gives orientation immediately. It anchors the sky with a visible certainty. In the south, we do not receive that convenience. There is no brilliant southern equivalent planted neatly above the pole for easy reassurance. Sigma Octantis exists technically, but the name pole star doesn't apply. It's dim, difficult, and often swallowed by an imperfect atmosphere. It does not command the sky the way Polaris does. Southern observers learn the sky differently. We learn direction through relationships instead of a single fixed beacon. Through the long axis of Crux, through the pointers of Alpha and Beta Centauri, through seasonal memory, through rotation itself. We do not simply look upward and learn the choreography. That profoundly changes the experience. The southern sky also carries a strange emotional quality because it remains unfamiliar to much of the world's historical literature. Many classical references, old celestial maps, and cultural astronomy traditions are northern-centric. Yet, overhead in the south are the Coalsack Nebula, the Magellanic Clouds, Omega Centauri, the deep river of the Milky Way arching brilliantly across the winter skies, structures so rich they can feel almost excessive to the naked eye under darkness. The South does not imitate the North. It teaches its own language. The longer you observe, the more you realize the sky is not something you conquer intellectually. It is something you return to repeatedly until your senses become calibrated to its rhythms. No expensive telescopes can replace familiarity. Equipment helps magnify objects, but patience magnifies understanding. After enough years, you stop demanding spectacle from the sky. You stop expecting every night to be perfect. You begin to appreciate transparency over drama, steadiness over brightness, and predictability over novelty. You notice how Jupiter holds steady while nearby stars tremble. You notice how winter constellations rise differently from summer ones. You notice how the same moon can look enormous behind humid horizon air and clinical in dry overhead darkness. The sky never repeats itself exactly because Earth never stops moving through conditions, not only through space, but through weather, temperature, pressure, dust, moisture, and season. We are observing the cosmos from inside a living atmosphere attached to a rotating reference frame around a star. Stability was never promised, but the patterns hold. That is why amateur observation matters, not because it grants ownership of knowledge, but because it builds trust in repeated experience. The sky rewards those who return quietly without shortcuts. The sky surrenders itself to patience. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate that you made it this far. Please stay safe, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.